Hello everyone, this is TLC Pastor Mark Spurlock, joined by
Julian Pizarro, buenos dias.
And we are out on the Twin Lakes ball field that's been under construction now for a couple months. We've still got several weeks to go, if not more than that, but I wanted you to see this before it's done, where it's just dirt, this is the foundation of it all. And this is perhaps the most important part, the part that no one will ever see, and yet it supports everything that happens on this facility. And the reason I think this is important is because this is how God works in our lives. Think of the Israelites who were in the wilderness for 40 years, God preparing them, or even Jesus being called out into the wilderness before his ministry. And you see the same dynamic at play in Joseph's life. He has been his story begins when he's 17, and when we get to chapter 41, it's 13 years later. Pharaoh has had a troubling dream. No one can interpret it, and someone remembers, oh yeah, there's this guy down in your dungeon that's really good at interpreting dreams. And so in a moment, Pharaoh hastily quickly brings Joseph out of the dungeon, and in less than an hour, his life is going to be completely different. You know, we talk about how sometimes our lives can take a sudden downturn. Mm-hmm. Well, Joseph knows all about that, but now his life's going to take a sudden upturn.
Very quick.
And he says this when Pharaoh says, tell me what my dream is. Joseph says this in verse 16. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. I can't do it, but God can. And that is a foundational place in our spiritual growth, when we realize, I can't do it. I don't have all the resources, but God can and God will. And that's what we see throughout this story. But not only was that at play in Joseph's life, that's what's been happening since you arrived last spring. You've been doing that underground foundational work for an anticipation of TLC in Espanol. Share a little bit about that.
Well, even that started before we got here with the family. You know, your prayers, the vision from the pastoral staff, and prayers, of course, also acknowledging our dependence from God.
Yes.
So the past 7 months, we've been building a core team, you know, that it will help us pray, it will help us to get to know people, to delegate responsibilities for the day on October 23rd when we start our worship services. Everyone will be in place, everyone will have a responsibility, and we can host all those people that they don't even know yet, but they will be here, and they're gonna start a relationship with Christ.
Awesome, and it's going to be so exciting. Again, that comes up on the 23rd of this coming weekend, 11 o'clock.
Yes. This coming weekend. Yes. I'm sorry.
And so be in prayer about that, and also think about how God might be working below the surface in your life right now. It may seem like it's uneventful, it may seem routine, and yet that is when God is doing some of his deepest work, preparing us for what he has next. Be encouraged by that, and God bless.
God bless you.